Well, greetings everybody and welcome to another Admissions Partner webinar series. Today we are going to be talking about the Coast Guard Academy Admissions Cyber Systems Major. I'm here with Commander Kelly Seals. I'll let him introduce himself in a second as one of our electrical engineering cyber systems faculty members and the section chief. And with that, we also have a number of our admissions partners on board as well to ask questions later on in the presentation. So if anything does come up, we'll try to get those addressed. I will be recording this presentation and posting it online, so this is going to be for mainly admissions volunteers. But if you are a student or parent watching this presentation and are interested in cyber systems or the electrical engineering program at the Coast Guard Academy, please feel free to contact our office with additional questions. We can get you in touch with the correct faculty. This presentation may include a little bit more in-depth information than you may need as an applicant, but would provide a general overview for the beginning of this program here at the Coast Guard Academy. So with that, I will first introduce Commander Seals if you want to give a brief introduction and background on yourself.
Greetings. Thank you for this opportunity. I'm excited to be here to address all of you. First, I want to say thank you to all the admissions partners for the work you do. It's important that we get the great word out, that's all the cool things we do at the Coast Guard Academy. So thank you for sharing that with high school students and potential applicants. I'm Kelly Seals. I'm the section chief for electrical engineering and cyber systems. We now have two programs within our section, the legacy electrical engineering program and also the brand new cyber systems program. We currently have our first class of cadets in cyber systems this year, and they're just about to finish their freshman or fourth class year, and they're going to graduate in 2022.
Okay. So we will get started with covering kind of what cyber systems is intended to do for our Coast Guard Academy cadets here as they prepare and go out into the fleet.
So I like to use this diagram as an outline of my talk today. We certainly feel that all cadets must learn responsibilities for ensuring the Coast Guard remains secure and is able to use cyberspace to execute all missions. And so I view this as the bottom of the triangle here, where all cadets are exposed in some way to cybersecurity and cyber hygiene, since we're operating in that environment in the Coast Guard. We have a Coast Guard Academy Cyber Council set up, which is an interdisciplinary group of faculty and also across the whole Coast Guard Academy with the information services. Everybody at the Coast Guard Academy who participates in the cyber world can get together and discuss what's important for training the cadets. Next, we created this new major called Cyber Systems because we feel that some cadets, perhaps 30 to 40 per year, need to have a deeper dive and educational perspective on cyber to be prepared to solve those future problems that perhaps we're not even aware of yet that may exist in the future. And then at the tip of the triangle, I'll talk also about our cyber team. These are cadets who can go take a deeper dive and actually practice this is extracurricular, but practice after school in our cyber lab to do cyber things. So, next slide.
Let's get started.
So down at the bottom of the triangle, all cadets, regardless of their major, will spend 8 hours of training right here in our new cyber lab on what we call a cyber range. The reason we chose cyber range is because they're just actually happens the same week they're in the regular range, getting their qualifications on the pistol. Earlier in the week, they come through here and they learn basic things such as cyber threats, vulnerabilities, importance, passwords. In the past, we've done some spear phishing exercises with the cadets, and we show them, hey, these are emails that you clicked on and you weren't supposed to. So we're trying to get this general awareness of cybersecurity in every single cadet that graduates from the academy.
Excellent.
Part of the new core curriculum here at the academy also is a cyber class that all cadets will take regardless of major. So this is in the academic year. It's a 1.5 credit class, which means half the semester. And all cadets are exposed to basic information theory, computer networking, and network security, as well as a couple of classes on communication systems and maritime electronics. So every major will get some basic introduction to cyber technology.
Great.
We're sitting in this brand new cyber lab. It's a $1.5 million space funded by the Coast Guard Academy Alumni Association. So we're super excited that the alumni supported this creation of this space. It has, right now we're sitting in the cyber lab part of the space. We have an active learning classroom across a large wall, dry erase board wall. And behind me is a video wall that we'll be using for either teaching classes or running cyber competitions. And just on the next slide, we have a picture of our digital ribbon cutting, which happened last October. So the Commandant came down. The cyber team actually wrote a nice computer coded script to have our fancy digital ribbon cutting ceremony of the Cyber Lab last October. And we started teaching in this space this semester, and it's working out great. And hopefully we'll be able to use it in the future for cyber competitions, but all cadets will come through here for the basic cyber courses, and then the cyber systems major will certainly have classes in here as well. I encourage you, if you are visiting the academy, to stop by McAllister Hall and walk on the second deck. If you walk around the second deck, you'll definitely walk past this lab and be able to look in the windows.
Now, I'm going to do so as gently as possible, and there is a wall over part of the lab at the moment, but I'm just going to kind of show everybody around using our camera system here.
One of the things we're trying to do when we create this lab is to use technology and also flexible spaces. So we have, that's the dry erase board at the end there from floor to ceiling, and that wall will open up to create a bigger space. We have screens on the wall that cadets can send their laptops to, and then the video wall back here. And so and all the furniture is on wheels that can be moved around. So it's a flexible space that we'll use in our curriculum and also for cyber competitions.
Excellent. So hopefully that was helpful for everybody to kind of get an image and an idea of the space that our cadets are now using for cybersecurity learning.
So as you are aware, this is the 9th academic major at the Coast Guard Academy. So brand new, it's called Cyber Systems. This graph highlights all the majors here at the Academy and then kind of the category of discipline that they're in. So we have 4 engineering degrees. I put the cyber systems degree as a computing degree. So if you're talking to high school students and where does this fit in, it's definitely a computing degree. And then we have our science degree, and the other majors we have humanities, the government major in humanities, the management major, business, and then the ORCA major, operations research and computer analysis in the math department.
So how would the ORCA with the computer analysis component vary or differ, and maybe you cover this in another slide, from the cyber systems major?
So we do find that there are a lot of cadets interested in computers, and they'll choose ORCA. They see the computer analysis in the title. So in fact, the cadets will do programming in the ORCA degree, but they're looking at using math to analyze or model a particular problem. Certainly the ORCA degree does a lot of that. If they're more into computing, learning how to program, more about computer networks and cybersecurity, that's going to be in the cyber systems program.
Perfect. Thank you for that explanation.
I do want to highlight, since we do have 2 programs in my section, we still have electrical engineering. Electrical engineering used to have 2 tracks, computer track and systems track. And because we created this new cyber systems program, we have now eliminated the 2 tracks. So there's no longer a computer and systems track in electrical engineering. Instead, we've created more choice where we still have the same classes, and we require students to choose 2 classes. So in the EE program, we're still doing computer stuff, a different perspective. And so I want to highlight here that students that might be interested in cyber physical systems, where the cyber world meets the physical world, they can still do that in the electrical engineering. We also have projects in autonomous systems and robotics, communications and signal processing, as well as power and renewable energy, all that in our legacy electrical engineering program, which we certainly are looking to have. Always need more students in that program, so I'd appreciate you to help us recruit for EE as well.
Okay.
So back to our cyber systems majors, we're moving up that triangle now to the middle part of the triangle, where we have some cadets that get a deeper educational experience in cyber, and that's why we created the cyber systems program. Some of our guiding principles to create this program included meeting the Coast Guard workforce needs. So the Coast Guard created a new cyber strategy, and we're trying to help develop the workforce to create those officers who will serve in these cyber fields in the Coast Guard. We also wanted to achieve the National Security Agency and Department of Homeland Security Center of Academic Excellence designation in cyber defense education. And so by having the curriculum on board with this new program, that will allow us to apply and receive this designation. And finally, we wanted to have an accredited program. Since cyber systems is housed within the engineering department, we're very experienced with ABET, and ABET is our accrediting body for engineering and computing programs. So this cyber systems program will be accredited by the Computing Commission of ABET. whereas the other programs are accredited by the Engineering Commission. And we'll be applying for that as soon as we have graduates. ABET will make this retroactive, and so the first class to graduate will be able to graduate from an accredited computing program.
And I see here on the screen you have a note, the C5i Workforce. Can you go into a little bit of detail on that?
Sure. In the Coast Guard, the Cyber and Information Technology Workforce is now called C5i. That stands for Command, Control, Communications, Computers, Cyber. Those are the 5 C's, and Intelligence. So that workforce is coming together in the Coast Guard, and they need to have an additional 28 to 37 officers per year. Many of those are coming straight direct commission officers, so the Academy, I think we can do a better job of supporting that workforce with the EE program and now with the new Cyber Systems program.
And that's funny because it's come such a long way. Graduated in 2009 even, when it was just like, it was C3IT, and then within 2 years C4IT, and now we're at C5I with the Cyber Systems being added to that. So,
and of course, being in the military, we have acronyms.
Of course. Yeah.
I think this would be a great slide to spend some time on to help you explain the Cyber Systems program to a high school student. So the new Cyber Systems program at the Coast Guard Academy is a computing degree coordinated by us in the Department of Engineering, but it has an interdisciplinary approach. And that's because cyber crosses all disciplines. So the first thing to know is that the Cyber Systems program has a strong computing foundation. So the students will take a series of computer programming classes. We're creating a new class in operating systems for these students. They take our class in computer networks, computer network security. We also have them take a digital circuits class. This is the fundamentals of computing, software engineering, and we're creating a new class called databases. So there is a robust computing foundation to this major. But there's also a balance. It's balanced with a managerial cyber emphasis. So the management department is teaching a class called Information Technology and Organizations, Systems Analysis and Design, and Cyber Risk Management. Those are required for this program. It's certainly interdisciplinary across other fields as well. So there'll be a discrete math course, which is required by ABET accreditation, and also sets up the students for any type of graduate work in the computing field. There's a cryptography class by the math department. We created a new third class or sophomore class on the fundamentals of information security to kind of set the security thread that goes through the whole curriculum. And the intelligence folks from the Coast Guard have officers of the Academy, and so the students will take their intelligence and cyber operations course that's taught in the humanities department. We're certainly expecting to have some great internship opportunities. We've already had companies, a lot of federally funded research labs like Lincoln Labs, Sandia. We send cadets every year to the National Security Agency. But we've also had companies reaching out to us, such as Microsoft, Amazon, Google, who are ready to take our cadets on internships. So as with all our engineering majors as well, we'll have some great capstone projects to their senior year into cyber.
Were there any of note this year that you got to see or witness?
Some of the capstone projects that we've done in the past relate to cyber. All of our projects have some type of computing element, so I think the cyber system students will be able to contribute to lots of different projects. Sure. We have looked at, in the past, we created a mock-up of a New Haven port facility with an industrial control system, what's called a PLC, a programmable logic controller, that they use in the real world, and the cadets found some vulnerabilities of that device, and they were able to report that back to GHS. So similar type of things in the future.
That's excellent.
Now we're moving up to the top of the triangle. This is the cyber team aspect. So in addition to the 30 cadets per year, perhaps we have in the cyber systems program, we also have a cyber team. Now the cyber team is, right now we have about 17 members, but it's actually all classes, all years, and multiple majors. So you don't have to be a cyber systems cadet to actually be on the cyber team. We're hoping eventually to have cadets represented from all the different majors, since cyber is interdisciplinary. This is our team this year with the Commandant here, our new cyber lab. What's unique about the cyber team is they need time to practice, so they come in lab after school and practice and prepare for competitions. And so we've able to get approval from the superintendent to give them the sports credit. Right. So the cadets are required to have a certain number of sports credits per year, and in order to get them time in the day to prepare, we are actually authorized to give them the sports credit. So they are a team with a captain and a coach, and they come in, they practice for these competitions.
That sounds fun.
numerous online competitions. They don't have to leave our cyber lab. So the CTF on here stands for Capture the Flag, where these cadets on the cyber team are on the weekends. And there's a picture here on the slide of them working in the cyber lab here on a competition. A Capture the Flag type of competition is they're entering into a computer network and trying to find that flag, which could be text or something like that. Once they find that, they can enter that in to say, hey, I found this. I was able to get into the system. So right now, based on the work that they've done, we're in the top 50 of all the academic teams in the United States.
Wow. For such a new team, that's pretty impressive.
In addition to these online competitions, the team also participates in live competitions, so we'll send them on travel, and some of them are very military focused where they're competing against other service academies. Others are more civilian focused where they're competing against civilian personnel from industry or other colleges. One of the big ones that we travel to now is called the Nsa Cyber Exercise, where it's the annual joint service academy competition where we actually compete against the other service academies. Last year, the team did great. They placed second place at the Naval Academy when we visited last year. This year, they just recently came back from the Air Force Academy. Didn't quite place so high this year, but every year they'll travel to different service academies to participate in this. The NSA sets up the network. They have to defend and attack on the network. Of course, the NSA always gets into your network, but they earn a certain number of points in this competition. So it's a great environment, a joint environment where they work with all the service academies. Maybe a big question from high school students is, what can I do with the cyber systems degree in the Coast Guard? And I would say it's very similar to all the other degrees we have at the Academy, where you'll find cadets with any degree at the Coast Guard Academy doing all sorts of things in the Coast Guard. So this doesn't limit you in terms of your Coast Guard options. Certainly, you can still go to flight school. You can still go on the ship and be an engineer on the ship or be a deck watch officer. It gives you a more technical background, and I think we're finding with the new Coast Guard cutters that there's huge network rooms on these cutters that these students will be able to contribute in any environment they go to. But it does open up some unique opportunities as well for Coast Guard careers. The Coast Guard has a cyber command down in DC, and this year the captain of the cyber team, her orders were to go to cyber command upon graduation. You don't have to be on the cyber team or be a cyber systems student to go to cyber command. That's one of the options upon graduation or a future career path. Also, we have former graduates going to Department of Homeland Security, to Department of Defense, any kind of operational units, going into the intel world. I mentioned C5i, the command, control, communications, computers, cyber intelligence world as well.
Wonderful. And I know we're nearing the end of our presentation here. So just kind of as a future trend, and where you've seen us in the past, and I know this was very new for a cyber team member to go directly to Coast Guard Cyber Command. Is this a trend that we see increasing as far as demand and whether it's cyber intelligence communities? Can you kind of speak a little bit more on that as far as future outlook?
Sure. You may be aware that the Coast Guard Academy graduates most will go to sea. Some will be either a deck watch officer or a student engineer on a ship. Some will go to flight school. A smaller number will go straight to a Coast Guard sector, which is a land billet. And just 2 years ago, we added to that list and we sent 2 cadets upon graduation as an ensign to Coast Guard Cyber Command. This past year, it actually increased to 4 cadets. I know they're asking for 6 next year. So certainly this field in the Coast Guard is growing, and I think there'll be more opportunities for cadets interested in the cyber world to go straight into cyber, or perhaps get an operational tour on the ship first and then get into cyber as well. One thing the Coast Guard has done is the cyber command is actually an operational command, which is why they were able to go upon graduation. All Coast Guard academy graduates are still going operational. You may be at sea, you may be in the air, or you may be operational in the cyber domain.
Great. And I think that just about wraps it up. So thank you everybody for your attention. We've got lots of time now for questions, and it looks like we have already one from Mr. Rob George. Will a new handout be developed for high school students? So I know that in the new partner pocket guide, the cyber systems major is mentioned. As far as a handout on this particular topic, I don't know if something is in the mix currently, but what I can say is that our online resources at uscga.edu under the academic tab does list out all of the detailed information that we just covered and then some as far as the curriculum that students will partake in. Now that will be updated on a regular basis, so anticipate an update after this year. And as we move towards accreditation and move towards getting kind of that cyber systems excellence, denotion in our academic fields, then you'll see updates as well provided online. So I'd say your first best bet is to go and check online resources, and then second, if the question can't be answered, to get those to admissions, and then we can of course forward those on to our academic staff. I don't know if you have anything to add there, Commander.
We have spent the last year updating our website. In fact, last summer this major was not on the Coast Guard Academy application, so we spent the last year updating our website. So if you have any feedback on the website, if there's things that are missing, please let Alex know and he'll get in touch with us and we can improve our website.
Yeah, absolutely. David Stott asks with class sizes, and that may be a concern because I know class sizes have talked about increasing and decreasing around 40 per incoming class, or has it increased in demand? So we aren't sure. I know that not any major has a particular quota to meet, or I know that each major may have a goal as far as, hey, our resources allow us to be comfortable teaching this many students. I don't know if you have any insight into that as far as how many students per incoming class. I don't want to put an exact number on anything in particular, but it is something to think of as far as future trends if we are going to provide or give more resources and time to this particular major.
Yeah, I think the range of 30 to 40 cadets in the cyber systems group would be great.
Mm-hmm. And that's kind of compared to our incoming class size, which always is right under about 300 students at the moment. Level loading our core cadets preferably at around 1,000 students. So with 30 to 40 of those being cyber systems majors, and the opportunity to transfer in and out of major. Now you'll be more encouraged to stay within the electrical engineering, computer sciences majors if that were the case, but that's a good answer for that. So, Ms. Randy Lewis asks, what courses or activities do you recommend for high school sophomores or juniors who intend to apply to CGA to demonstrate kind of proficiencies in cybersecurity and computer science?
One of the things I think that happens in the admissions process is when the CCV or the admissions team is reviewing applications, they will look at the intended major and the courses that perhaps support that intended major. So since this major does have a robust computing component, I think any kind of AP computer science, for example, could show interest in the cyber world. But also, there's also a policy aspect to cyber. So I don't want to say that a cadet who has no computing in high school won't succeed in this major. In fact, all the courses are developed such that a student with a standard high school curriculum without perhaps a computing class or a programming class in high school will still succeed. We'll teach them what they need to know. But certainly, if there are students who are taking any kind of computer science classes in high school that show their interest in cyber type of activities, or perhaps are doing a cyber competition in high school. There are some high school level competitions.
I know Cyber Patriot is one that comes up pretty often in our applications. Were there any others that kind of come to mind for you?
Cyber Patriot is the one I'm aware of. Mm-hmm. Also, there may be students who do robotics who are just into the programming aspect of robotics and less the mechanical piece that may be interested in a computing type degree.
Perfect. So Mr. Walt Hansen asks, is cyber on CGA Sports? And in that case, is it a team for which we are actively recruiting? So do we go to Cyber Patriot competitions, recruiting these students, or interact with them if they come here for a program?
Sure, thanks for the question. That's a great question. Thank you for the question on that. The cyber team is not considered a CGA sport. But it is jointly administered by all three divisions. So the superintendent of instruction gives authority on the cyber team to the director of athletics, the commandant of cadets, and the dean of academics. Just make sure we have input from all three divisions. But it's not considered a CGA sport in terms of recruiting aspects.
Okay.
So we do have there should be a website, and I'll make sure it's available. I think we had a uscga.edu/cyber team, where we are trying to get to the point where we can definitely put the coach's contact information on there, so perhaps the student can email the coach to express interest.
Excellent. As far as access to slides, Mr. Oliver, absolutely, we can get you access to the information presented in these slides. It'll also be available online as we post all of our videos on YouTube to be rewatched. and then that will come in the next newsletter as well. So I'll find a way to abbreviate information a little bit, maybe create a one sheet for everyone to send out, but thank you very much for that question. I see we have at least one other individual typing, Mr. Sott. If there are any other questions, feel free to ask those at this time. We've got about 2 to 3 more minutes. It looks like we might be winding down at this time. And if that's the case, I want to thank again Commander Seals for being here today. I don't know if you have any last minute words for our volunteers as they go out and speak with students, recruit them, or any students and parents that could be watching this as well.
I think it's an exciting time to be at the Coast Guard Academy, especially if you're interested in cyber. Lots of new opportunities with the new program, and certainly a career field that's in development right now. And so every time the admirals that are doing cyber stuff come back to the academy, they express to the cadets how it's an exciting time to be in the Coast Guard. These cadets that will graduate in a few years will be certainly developing the new cyber workforce in the Coast Guard.
Wonderful. All right. Well, thank you, Commander, and thank you to everyone who logged in today to participate. I appreciate it. If you have any questions, follow up from me. You're welcome to email me offline as well. Thank you again. I hope you all enjoyed this presentation today on our cyber systems major and computing majors here at the Academy. Again, we appreciate your volunteerism, and as always, go Bears.